It was just another Friday afternoon in the locker room after our game against the Bulldogs. We'd won, but barely, and Coach Miller had that look on his face, the one that said he was proud but not satisfied. You know the look, right? That mixture of good job and you could have done better, all wrapped up in a stern nod. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting that unflattering glow that somehow makes everyone look both pale and flushed at the same time. The familiar smell of sweat, deodorant, and that industrial-strength cleaner the janitors use filled the air. It was the smell of victory, or at least that's what we told ourselves. I'm Jake, by the way, center midfielder, team captain for 2 seasons running, and according to Coach, the only one with a head for strategy and feet that can execute it. The guys were all in various states of undress, some already showered, others still peeling off their mud-caked uniforms. The usual post-game chatter bounced off the metal lockers, replays of the best plays, complaints about the refs' calls, plans for the weekend. Our team had been together for 3 seasons now, and we developed the kind of shorthand that comes from spending countless hours together on and off the field. There was Mike, our goalkeeper, always the last to shower because he had this whole ritual of reviewing the game in his head before he could move on. Darius and Jamal, our defensive line, were inseparable, finishing each other's sentences and sharing inside jokes that no one else understood. Then there was Alex, our striker, who joined the team last season and somehow managed to fit right in despite being the quietest guy on the roster. The locker room has always been this strange space where masculinity gets both reinforced and challenged. Guys who would never hug in public throw their arms around each other after a win. Conversations swing from crude jokes to deeply personal confessions in the span of minutes. There's a vulnerability there, hidden beneath the bravado and the snap of towels. Let me explain why this matters, because what happened next could only have happened in this peculiar social ecosystem we'd created. Coach stuck his head in the door, his clipboard tucked under his arm. Bus leaves in 15, gentlemen. Don't make me come looking for you. His voice had that gruff edge it always did after a close game. We all mumbled acknowledgments, some guys speeding up their post-game routines while others continued at their leisurely pace. I was already dressed, my hair still damp from the shower, sitting on the bench tying my shoes when I realized I hadn't seen Chris since we'd left the field. Chris was our right winger, new to the team this season but already essential. He had this way of finding space where there shouldn't be any, of delivering crosses that seemed to defy physics. Off the field, he was just as impressive, smart, funny, with this easy confidence that drew people to him. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, which I rarely was back then, I found myself looking for him more often than I should have. The locker room gradually emptied as guys finished up and headed for the bus. I lingered, telling myself I was just being a responsible captain, making sure no one got left behind. But there was still no sign of Chris. I checked my phone, 5 minutes until departure. I was about to text him when the door swung open and he walked in, still in his uniform, mud streaking one side of his face. "Where have you been?" I asked, trying to sound casual and captain-like rather than revealing the weird relief I felt seeing him. "Bus is leaving soon." Chris ran a hand through his dark hair, pushing it back from his forehead. "Coach had me talking to that scout from state. You know, the one who's been at the last few games." He was already pulling his jersey over his head, revealing the lean muscle beneath. I looked away, suddenly very interested in the contents of my gym bag. "That's great," I said, meaning it. "Chris deserved the attention. But you better hurry. Miller will leave without you." He laughed, that easy laugh that seemed to come from deep in his chest. "Wouldn't be the first time. I'll be quick." I should have left then. Should have jogged out to the bus and taken my usual seat near the front. But instead, I found myself saying, "I'll wait. Make sure you don't get stranded." Chris raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "Appreciate it, Captain." I sat back down on the bench, pretending to check my phone while Chris continued undressing. The locker room felt different now that it was just the two of us, quieter, more intimate somehow. I could hear the water running as he stepped into the shower, could hear him humming some song I didn't recognize. I sent a quick text to Mike. "Tell Coach Chris, and I will be a minute. Scout from state wanted to talk." The reply came back almost immediately. "Bus just left. Coach says get your own ride back." I stared at the message, a mix of panic and something else, something I wasn't ready to name, washing over me. "Hey, Chris." I called out. "Slight problem. Bus just left." The water shut off, and there was a moment of silence before Chris's voice echoed from the shower area. Seriously? Miller actually left us. He didn't sound upset, more amused than anything. Apparently, I replied, putting my phone away. He says we need to find our own way back. Chris appeared around the corner, water dripping from his hair, my towel, the one with my number embroidered on it that my mom had given me, wrapped around his waist. I felt my face grow hot, and I looked down at my shoes again. Sorry, he said, noticing my expression. Grabbed the first towel I saw. Didn't realize it was yours until I was already using it. I waved a hand dismissively. It's fine. Not like I need it now anyway. But there was something about seeing him in my towel that made my stomach do a weird flip. It was intimate in a way I hadn't experienced before, like he was wearing something of mine, something personal. Chris moved to his locker, which was 3 down from mine. So how are we getting back? It's like a 40-minute drive to campus. He was casual about it, like being stranded with me was no big deal, maybe even something he was okay with. I can call an Uber, I suggested, pulling out my phone again. Split the cost. He nodded, water still beating on his shoulders, running down his chest in little rivulets. Works for me. No rush though, right? Unless you've got somewhere to be. I didn't. Friday nights were usually team hangouts, but with everyone already headed back without us, my evening was suddenly wide open. No, I'm good, I said, trying to match his casualness. Chris grinned, that smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Cool. Mind if I borrow your shampoo? I forgot mine. And that's how it started, this strange, intimate sharing of space and belongings. He used my shampoo, my towel, and then, as he was getting dressed, he realized he'd forgotten to pack a clean shirt. Without hesitation, he turned to me. Any chance I could borrow a shirt? Promise I'll return it washed and everything. I dug through my bag and found a spare t-shirt, tossing it to him. Keep it, I said. I've got plenty. He caught it with one hand, still holding my towel around his waist with the other. Thanks, man. You're a lifesaver. Then, without warning, he dropped the towel and started getting dressed. I averted my eyes, but not before catching a glimpse that sent heat rushing to my face again. So, Chris said, pulling my shirt over his head, seemingly oblivious to my discomfort. That scout seemed interested. Said he liked my field vision, whatever that means. I latched onto the change of subject gratefully. That's awesome. You deserve it. That cross you made in the second half was insane. He shrugged, but I could tell he was pleased. Couldn't have done it without your setup. We make a good team, you know? There was something in the way he said it, something that made me wonder if we were still talking about soccer. I found myself studying his face, trying to read what was behind those words. Chris held my gaze, and for a moment, the locker room seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of us in this strange, charged space. The moment was broken by the sound of my phone buzzing. I checked it. The Uber was 10 minutes away. Ride's coming, I said, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. Chris nodded, finishing getting dressed. He picked up my towel from the floor, holding it out to me. Sorry about hijacking your shower stuff. I owe you one. I took the towel, our fingers brushing briefly. It's fine. What are teammates for, right? He laughed, but there was something different in it now, something softer. Right? Teammates. We finished gathering our things in a comfortable silence. As we headed for the door, Chris suddenly stopped, turning to face me. You know, I didn't actually forget my shirt. I blinked, confused. What? He shrugged, looking slightly embarrassed but holding my gaze. I wanted to wear yours. Weird, I know. The admission hung between us, and I didn't know what to do with it. Was this flirting? Was I reading too much into it? The questions swirled in my head, but what came out of my mouth was, why? Chris took a step closer, close enough that I could smell my own shampoo in his hair. Because I like you, Jake. More than a teammate should. And I've been trying to figure out if I'm crazy or if maybe you feel something too. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. The truth was, I had been fighting these feelings for months, pushing them down, telling myself it was just admiration, just friendship. But standing there, with Chris looking at me with those earnest eyes, I couldn't lie anymore. Not to him, not to myself. You're not crazy, I said quietly, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating as they left my mouth. I've been confused about it, about what it means. A slow smile spread across his face. Me too, for a long time, but I'm less confused when I'm with you. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly we were kissing, his hands in my hair, mine on his waist. It was nothing like I'd imagined, and I had imagined it, though I'd never admitted that to myself. It was better, real and warm, and right in a way I hadn't expected. When we pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Chris rested his forehead against mine. "So, that happened," he said with a small laugh. I nodded, unable to stop the smile spreading across my face. "Yeah, it did." "Are you okay with it?" he asked, suddenly serious. "I know this is complicated. The team, your position as captain." He was right. It was complicated. Soccer was still a sport where being out wasn't easy. But in that moment, with the taste of him still on my lips, I couldn't bring myself to care about the complications. "I'm more than okay with it," I assured him. "The rest, we'll figure it out." My phone buzzed again. The Uber was outside. We gathered our bags, heading for the door. As Chris reached for the handle, I caught his arm. "Just so you know," I said, "you can borrow my towel anytime." He laughed, that full, rich sound that I'd come to love without realizing it. "I'm counting on it, Captain." We walked out into the evening air, shoulders brushing, a new understanding between us. The missed bus no longer seemed like an inconvenience, but a gift, the universe's way of giving us the space and time we needed to find each other. The ride back to campus was filled with conversation, real conversation, the kind where you finally say all the things you've been holding back. Chris told me about realizing he was bisexual in high school, about the fear of not being accepted in the sports world. I shared my own confusion, how I'd dated girls but always felt something was missing, how I'd been attracted to Chris from the moment he joined the team, but had buried those feelings deep. "What about the team?" I asked eventually, the practical concerns creeping back in. "Do we tell them?" Chris considered this, his hand finding mine in the space between us on the back seat. "Maybe not everything right away, but I don't want to hide either. They're good guys. I think they'll surprise us." He was right about that too. Over the next few weeks, we navigated this new territory together. We were careful at first, professional during practices and games, but allowing ourselves to be closer, more honest in private moments. Eventually, we started telling people, Mike first, then Darius and Jamal. Each conversation was nerve-wracking, but each time, we were met with acceptance, sometimes questions, but always support. The towel became a running joke between us. Chris would steal it deliberately after games, winking at me across the locker room. It was our secret signal, our private reminder of where it all began. Looking back now, it seems almost impossible that a missed bus and a borrowed towel could change everything. But that's how life works sometimes. The biggest changes come from the smallest moments, the unexpected detours that lead you exactly where you need to be. I'm not saying it was always easy. We had our challenges, disapproving looks from opponents, a few tense conversations with Coach Miller about team dynamics, my own parents' adjustment to the news. But through it all, Chris and I had each other, and surprisingly, we had our team too. They became our fiercest defenders both on and off the field. That day in the locker room taught me something important about courage. Not the kind it takes to make a perfect play under pressure, but the kind it takes to be honest about who you are and what you want. It taught me that sometimes, the most unexpected connections are the ones that feel most like coming home. So if you're out there, hiding a piece of yourself, waiting for the right moment or sign, remember this. Sometimes all it takes is a missed bus, a borrowed towel, and the courage to say what's in your heart. The rest, as Chris would say, you figure out together. And as for that towel, I still have it, though it's worn thin from years of use. Chris suggests we frame it someday, a testament to where our story began. I tell him that's ridiculous, but secretly, I think he might be right. After all, some things are worth remembering, worth honoring, like the day everything changed because he missed the team bus home, took my shower, and my towel instead. Total _char_count, 17,658.